Liam. The entire city suddenly stopped. Theo Grant watched a taxi freeze mid-turn outside. The pedestrian stood motionless beneath the pouring rain. Even a cyclist balanced perfectly without falling. Only the emergency siren continued screaming overhead. Theo stepped outside, thinking everyone was pretending somehow. Then a grey van rolled through frozen traffic. 4 masked workers climbed out carrying white cases. They moved normally while everyone else remained statues. One worker approached the frozen man beside Theo. He scanned the man's wrist with blue light. Then 2 workers carried the man into darkness. From the van, an identical man stepped out. The copy wore the same clothes and wedding ring. They placed him exactly where the original stood. Theo backed away before anyone noticed him moving. A hand suddenly pulled him behind a bus. The woman whispered, "Do not let them scan you." Name was Nina Cho, emergency dispatcher. She had seen the siren once before. That night, her neighbor disappeared before sunrise. Everyone remembered another woman living there instead. Then, the frozen traffic light turned solid white. Lamia said the audit had 7 minutes remaining. Every block contained one person marked for replacement. Some were parents, students, nurses, or delivery drivers. Nobody looked dangerous or even remotely unusual. Theo asked why those people were being chosen. Nina pointed toward tags inside the workers' cases. Each tag listed a tiny life decision. A quit job, refused transfer, left fiancé. Theo realized the selections were not random. The workers replaced people who changed expected paths. One marked woman stood beneath a pharmacy sign. Theo recognized her immediately as his mother, Elise. A white tag hung from her frozen handbag. Theo ran toward her before Nina could stop him. A masked worker raised its scanner at Theo. The device flashed red instead of blue. Every worker turned toward him simultaneously. Nina threw a metal trash can between them. Theo grabbed Elise and dragged her into shelter. Our siren abruptly stopped before workers reached them. Lane resumed, cars moved, and people screamed. Elise blinked, unaware anything had happened. But the identical replacement still stood nearby. 2 Elises stared at each other in horror. One began screaming that the other was fake. The police arrived within seconds, already knowing which mattered. They arrested the original Elise without asking questions. The replacement hugged Theo and called him sweetheart. Theo could not tell which voice felt more familiar. Nina pulled him away before police noticed her. She said the next audit would erase witnesses. Theo demanded proof beyond another impossible night. Nina took him to City Records headquarters. A maintenance tunnel bypassed every locked entrance. Inside, basement computers still glowed during blackout. Nina entered a code she claimed to remember. A hidden directory opened called Civic Continuity. Thousands of citizen files filled the screen. Each file contained an approved life path. Aviations triggered replacement during the next audit. It was keeping the city statistically predictable. Theo searched his mother's name with shaking hands. Elise Grant had been replaced 8 years earlier. The woman arrested tonight was another original somehow. Nina opened the replacement history beside Elise's file. There had been 4 Elises since Theo's childhood. Each replacement believed she was completely authentic. Each one inherited memories from the previous version. Theo's happiest moments belonged to different mothers. He whispered that none of them were real. Lena said that was the wrong conclusion. Every version loved him, using genuine human feelings. machine-controlled origins, not emotions afterward. Door opened somewhere beneath the archive floor. Masked workers entered, forcing Theo and Nina downstairs. They expected cells but found a silent hospital ward. Hundreds of replaced originals lay awake behind glass. They watched monitors showing replacements living their lives. Theo saw an older Elise behind one window. She pressed both palms against the glass immediately. Theo knew her from a childhood scar. This was the mother taken 8 years earlier. She mouthed his name before audio switched on. He said the program never killed originals. It stored them as backup identity material. The new replacements borrowed memories directly from prisoners. That was why affection always felt convincing. Theo asked why he had never been replaced. Elise looked at Nina instead of answering. The screen identified her as Observer 12. Her dispatcher records vanished before Theo's eyes. Nina whispered that the system was lying. Then buried memories returned all at once. She remembered guiding masked workers during previous audits. Observers located citizens who stayed mobile during sirens. After every audit, their memories were reset. Nina had hunted people like Theo for years. Her resistance tonight had happened several times before. Each time, the program restored her by morning. Theo asked why she kept rebelling anyway. Nina answered that some feelings survived every reset. Together they reached the central Siren control room. The master console showed 40 seconds remaining. Another audit was already scheduled before sunrise. Nina destroyed the memory reset relay with a chair. Theo opened every ward door simultaneously. Vigilants flooded corridors, searching for stolen lives. Above ground, the new siren began without warning. This time, frozen citizens woke halfway through replacement. Across the city, originals met their duplicates face to face. Phones filled with videos nobody could explain away. Theo returned home searching desperately for Elise. Two versions waited together inside his kitchen. Both remembered his first day of school. Both called him son with identical trembling voices. Then, every siren speaker announced one final message. Correction failed. Permanent identity merge begins at dawn. After the storm, Maple Street opened like a wound. The crack in the asphalt revealed hidden stairs. They dropped beneath the city into fluorescent darkness. By sunrise, the street looked normal again. Only June Park remembered where the stairs appeared. June was a night courier biking home. He found the opening while dodging floodwater. Then he heard a train below him. No subway line ran under Maple Street. That route had closed decades before June's birth. Curiosity beat fear, so he climbed down. The step was wet, cold, and spotless. The bottom waited a silent platform. One sign glowed above the empty tracks. Read, last departure before morning. A woman stood there with a flashlight. She introduced herself as Sarah Lynn. Sarah was an off-duty paramedic nearby. She said she followed the same sound. Sarah warned nobody should know this place. Before June replied, the platform lights flickered. A silver train arrived without wind or noise. Its windows glowed, but nobody moved inside. The doors opened exactly before June and Sarah. Inside, every seat was perfectly dry. Plain water stopped at the threshold like glass. June stepped aboard and felt sudden warmth. Sarah followed, though her hands kept shaking. The train displayed no map or route. Instead, Every advertisement showed impossible personal lives. He saw himself wearing a wedding ring. Another poster showed him holding a daughter. June had never married or raised children. Across from him, Sarah stared at hers. Her poster showed a crowded family dinner. She whispered she knew none of those faces. Then an old speaker crackled overhead softly. A voice welcomed them to the unmapped line. It advised passengers to protect their chosen names. Legend laughed, thinking it was performance art. Sarah did not laugh at all. The next stop, nobody boarded. One man stumbled out, weeping uncontrollably. He clutched a photo with one blank figure. He begged June to tell him her name. June couldn't, because the face was empty. The man ran upstairs, screaming into rain. Lara said that was not normal forgetting. Something here erased people from relationships first. The train kept moving, yet never turned. Outside, the same tunnel pillar kept repeating. June pulled the emergency handle without effect. The speaker thanked him for staying seated. Then every advertisement changed to childhood scenes. June saw himself beneath a yellow umbrella. Another child stood beside him, smiling brightly. They knew the face, but not the name. Pain struck behind his eyes like static. Sarah touched his shoulder and asked what happened. June said a missing memory just looked back. The train stopped at a darker station. This platform had turnstiles, lockers, and a booth. Behind the glass sat a thin man. He wore a black coat and cap. His brass badge identified him as Rook. Mr. Rook invited them off the train. Offered tea, like welcoming old guests. Yoon demanded to know where they were. Rook replied, "Between the routes almost chosen." Sarah asked how anyone left safely. Rook said, "Leave with every name you entered." Asked, "What happened if someone failed?" Rook said, "They reach better lives usually." Usually was not the word June wanted. Rook showed them a wall of tickets. Each ticket carried one crossed-out human name. Thousands covered the station like dead leaves. Aun found one ticket with his surname. The first name had bled through paper. Lara found a bracelet in lost property. It fit her wrist with eerie familiarity. Beneath it lay a family photograph. It showed June, his mother, and 2 children. The younger child wore that exact bracelet. Lon remembered his mother, but not the girl. Rook said, "The station keeps neglected departures. Riders surrender one relationship, then leave transformed. Return, another version of life continues." June finally understood the impossible advertisements. They were abandoned outcomes, not fantasies. Rook opened an archive drawer without hesitation. Inside were recordings from a flood years earlier. The storm had trapped June's family underground. Young June reached these stairs with his mother. His baby sister was trapped in rising water. The station offered one impossible exchange that night: save the mother or save the sister. The mother chose survival and boarded the train. To keep moving, one name was surrendered. The station erased Mina from remembered life. Yoon finally spoke the missing name aloud. The tunnel answered with the child's laughter. Sarah dropped the bracelet and stepped backward. Rook watched her like recognition was expected. He said some passengers return as alternate futures. Clara was not random, and neither was tonight. The family dinner in her advertisement mattered. Dunn stared as her expression quietly changed. She remembered rain, a lullaby, and drowning light. Sarah was Mina's unchosen life made adult. Not exactly his sister, but her continuation. If June restored Mina fully, Sarah vanished. If he kept silent, Mina stayed erased. The departure board lit with 2 destinations. One train read, "Return with what remains." The other read, "Return with what was lost." Jun asked whether a third route existed. Brooke opened a locked gate above black water. Someone below called Jun in his mother's voice. Then the water reflected a third train. At 7 p.m., every projector started by itself. Evan Brooks was locking the abandoned Monarch Theatre. The building had been closed since 1998. Tonight, one auditorium suddenly glowed behind sealed doors. Evan heard applause coming from seats without people. He unlocked Auditorium 4 and stepped inside alone. A black and white movie flickered across the giant screen. The film showed the theater exactly as it looked. Then Evan appeared inside the movie, walking downstairs. On-screen Evan stopped before real Evan had moved. But he raised one hand toward the empty audience. Real Evan felt his arm lifting against resistance. He forced it down, and the film jumped. A woman's voice behind him whispered, "Do that again." Evan turned and saw Mara Quinn near the aisle. She was filming the screen with her phone. Mara researched abandoned cinemas for her documentary channel. She said the Monarch had no Auditorium 4. She was right. This room should be storage. The movie suddenly cut to Mara's childhood kitchen. Young Mara sat beside a birthday cake, smiling. Her mother crossed the frame carrying red balloons. Mara dropped her phone and stopped breathing normally. Her mother had died when Mara was 9. No recording of that birthday had ever existed. Evan told her the projector was stealing memories. Then the movie showed Evan at a hospital. His father sat beside someone hidden by curtains. Evan recognized the room, but not the patient. The screen froze on one empty visitor chair. A ticket slowly appeared on that chair. Mara found the same ticket beneath her seat. It carried tonight's date and seat 14. Every other empty seat now held tickets too. Then silhouettes began filling the seats on screen. A slow clap echoed from the projection booth. An elderly usher stood behind the glass upstairs. He introduced himself as Silas Kessler, former manager. Silas asked why they disturbed the final screening. Mara demanded to know what film they were watching. Silas called it simply The Last Audience. He said the reel was never officially produced. It assembled itself from whatever viewers brought inside. Every watched minute surrendered one private memory. The movie arranged those memories into a story. Evan asked what happened when the story ended. He said audiences rarely survived the credits unchanged. Mara rushed toward the exit, but handles vanished. The walls extended where every doorway had been. Auditorium 4 had become a sealed black box. Only the screen still offered a possible opening. Evan climbed onto the stage and touched it. His palm appeared inside the movie from behind. Real Mara saw the same hand beside her. The film was no longer showing their memories. It was showing the room from another side. Silas warned Evan not to tear the screen. Something beyond it had been watching for decades. Evan asked who could watch an empty theater. Silas answered, "The people who bought the tickets." Every on-screen silhouette turned its head together. One figure wore Evan's father's old grey coat. Evan moved closer until Mara grabbed his sleeve. His face remained hidden beneath projector flicker. Evan shouted his father's name into the auditorium. The figure stopped, then removed the grey coat. Underneath stood a woman Evan recognized instantly. The mother, Lena, had vanished 20 years earlier. Evan had been told she abandoned the family. The movie showed Lena working inside this theater. She operated the projector during the final screening. That night, the fire alarm trapped everyone inside, but no fire was ever found afterward. Instead, 42 patrons vanished without a trace. The city blamed faulty records and theater closure. Silas admitted the official story was manufactured. The reel had pulled the audience through the screen. Lena stayed behind to stop it spreading further. Silas had done that since Lena disappeared. The night, his replacement arrived without realizing it. Evan understood why Silas let him take the job. Silas had chosen him because Lena was inside. Mara accused Silas of feeding people to the reel. I said, one viewer preserved 42 trapped lives. If the reel stopped, those people dissolved forever. If it continued, new memories kept feeding them. Mara noticed the on-screen audience becoming more detailed. Faces sharpened whenever Evan remembered something painful. The film was building bodies from stolen memories. Each trapped person required pieces from new viewers. Evan realized Lena might not truly be Lena. His childhood memories had simply shaped her face. Lara asked what happened to original Lena then. Silas pointed toward the projection booth mirror. In its reflection, someone sat behind the projector. The real booth was empty except for Silas. Reflection, Lena turned and looked directly outward. She held up a card with Evan's name. He remembered her face but heard only silence. Lara shouted for Silas to stop the projector. Silas reached for the switch, then disappeared on screen. His real body remained, but nobody recognized him. Evan looked at the old man like a stranger. Lara wrote it across her arm with marker. The movie immediately blurred the writing into darkness. Evan realized memory itself could not beat the real. So he stopped watching and faced the seats. Lara copied him and closed her eyes tightly. Without viewers, the projector began choking and slowing. The on-screen audience pounded silently against the screen. Lena's figure pressed both hands against the fabric. Evan heard her voice return for 1 second. She whispered, "You were never the audience." The screen suddenly became transparent like dark glass. Beyond it sat another enormous theater full of people. Hundreds watched Evan and Mara from red seats. Every viewer wore a ticket dated tonight. One empty chair waited in the center row. Above it, a small sign showed Evan's name. Then, the other audience began applauding slowly.
Dr. Mercer smiled with Noah's face in the elevator. Behind him, a red 15 button began pulsing. Mira whispered that this floor never showed memories. It showed tomorrow, then demanded someone make it happen. Before Noah answered, the hospital alarms stopped together. Every clock nearby jumped forward exactly 15 minutes. The duplicate stepped aside and invited them inside. He promised one future could save everyone. Noah noticed burn marks across the Fran's hand. Then the elevator doors closed behind all three. The car descended, although 15 should be higher. Mira warned Noah never to believe the first vision. The duplicate said disbelief was simply another programmed response. At 0, the doors opened onto brilliant daylight. A perfect corridor stretched beneath a blue sky. Each doorway displayed a date from tomorrow. Behind glass, strangers repeated ordinary morning routines. Everything looked harmless until everyone turned toward Noah. Door 1501 showed the hospital burning before sunrise. Nurses carried patients while smoke swallowed the eastern wing. On screen, Noah stood outside, refusing to unlock doors. He shouted that the footage was impossible and cruel. The scene changed immediately after hearing his denial. Now Mira held the keys beside the locked entrance. She watched herself abandon everyone without blinking. Mr. Vale appeared behind them with a cracked stopwatch. He said the floor revised futures whenever fear changed. Then every glass apartment began showing different disasters. One room showed Emma alive inside a crowded station. Another showed her boarding a train without remembering Noah. Another showed Noah stopping her, causing hundreds to die. Each rescue created worse consequences elsewhere. Mira covered the windows, but whispers escaped through walls. They repeated private thoughts neither had spoken aloud. The duplicate calmly recorded every reaction in a notebook. Noah grabbed him and demanded his real identity. The man answered, "I am what you choose next." Then his face aged 15 years in seconds. At corridor center, a steel door marked 1515 open. Inside waited a circular chamber filled with moving screens. 15 futures surrounded one empty chair beneath white light. Each future ended with Blackridge Tower collapsing at dawn. In 14 versions, Mira caused the final structural failure. In the 15th, Noah pushed her into the elevator. That future saved the city but erased Emma forever. Mira accused the room of manufacturing false choices deliberately. The duplicate asked Noah which loss he could survive. A countdown appeared, granting them 15 minutes to decide. Noah searched beneath the console and found hidden recordings. Old visitors rehearsed the same disaster shown around them. They panicked, escaped, then caused each prediction themselves. The floor was not forecasting tomorrow at all. It was teaching frightened people how to create it. Every screen tracked pulse, attention, doubt, and attachment. Whichever vision received most fear gained physical detail. Noah realized watching was turning possibilities into instructions. The duplicate applauded and called this the midpoint test. He claimed Dr. Mercer designed the engine decades earlier. Mira demanded proof, so he upsealed archive. Inside were photographs of Noah building the first chamber. Beside him stood Mira wearing a research uniform. Her badge identified her as Dr. Mara Vale. Mira staggered, insisting that name belonged to nobody. Mr. Vale quietly removed his cap and faced her. He called her daughter, missing since the original fire. The corridor lights shifted from blue to emergency red. Mira remembered testing the machine with teenage Emma present. Noah remembered ordering the experiment, despite unstable reading. The first prediction showed Emma dying inside apartment 1313. Trying to prevent it, they started the actual fire. Every floor afterward became a containment layer for guilt. Mira was not a ghost but a fragmented survivor. Her memories had been distributed across 14 artificial floors. Reaching 15 began the person she once was. But restored Mara immediately tried activating the engine again. She believed one perfect future could undo every death. Noah feared the machine had already influenced that belief. The duplicate revealed himself as Noah from tomorrow morning. He had returned through a future the engine created. In his timeline, Mara activated 15 and destroyed downtown. He came back to force Noah toward the sacrifice. Mara said future Noah was merely another persuasive simulation. Both demanded trust while the countdown reached 5 minutes. The screens began projecting doors into the real corridor. Burning nurses, lost children, and silent residents stepped through. They were rehearsals given bodies by concentrated attention. Vale shouted for everyone to stop looking directly. Noah smashed lights, plunging the chamber into darkness. Without observers, several futures dissolved into silver dust. Yet one screen kept glowing behind Mara's hand. It showed Emma waiting safely on the 16th floor. Mara whispered that she finally knew where Emma remained. Noah begged her not to open another path. Future Noah raised a weapon made from elevator metal. He aimed at Mara, repeating the city's survival statistic. Noah stepped between them before either could act. He chose neither prediction and destroyed the central console. The chamber folded like paper around a collapsing flame. 15 doors raced past them through impossible darkness. Wail held the elevator while future Noah began fading. He warned Noah that unchosen futures never truly disappear. Mara entered last, hiding something beneath her burned sleeve. The elevator launched upward as the floor shattered below. Noah awakened again inside the silent hospital corridor. Only 3 seconds had passed on every nearby clock. Wail was gone, leaving his cracked stopwatch behind. Mira remembered her real name but rejected Mara's mission. She promised Noah the machine would remain permanently sealed. Together they watched sunrise beyond the hospital windows. Then Noah's phone received a message dated tomorrow. His own voice whispered, "You destroyed the wrong machine." Security footage showed Mira leaving while Noah still slept. She carried the glowing core beneath her sleeve. At Blackridge Tower, sealed elevators activated without electricity. Floor numbers climbed past 15 for the first time. Mira stood alone as the display revealed 16. Behind its doors, Emma called her Dr. Wail. A second voice asked whether Noah remembered the experiment. Mira smiled, but her reflection remained completely expressionless. Then floor 16 opened onto a room full of Noahs.
At 12:14 a.m., Gate 7 reopened by itself. Nadia Reyes heard the latch click underground. She was mopping the closed bus terminal alone. The rain hammered skylights like impatient fingers above. Gate 7 had been sealed for years. The old crash made everyone avoid that corridor. At night, its red chain lay curled aside. Beyond it, warm light spilled onto tiles. Nadia followed the glow past boarded vending machines. A brass sign hung above a narrow door. Read "Lost and Found for Persons." Inside, shelves climbed higher than the ceiling. Umbrellas, shoes, toys, watches filled numbered rows. Each item wore a yellow claim tag. Behind the desk sat Ellis Ward, smiling. He greeted Nadia as if expected. Nadia asked where terminal security actually was. Ellis said the missing always arrive first. Then, a second voice called from hallway. The transit officer stepped inside, soaked and breathless. His name was Owen Cole from patrol. He said his radio died near Gate 7. Ellis offered both of them hot tea. Nadia refused and kept standing instead. Owen noticed the shelves kept rearranging themselves. Ellis said each shelf followed fresh grief. The suitcase opened nearby without any hands. Inside lay a child's jacket and photograph. The face in the photo had blurred away. Nadia felt suddenly cold despite the steam. Ellis explained the office stored unclaimed people. Not bodies, he said, but unfinished arrivals. Every object belonged to someone never fully returned. But if families stopped looking, shelves kept them. Owen laughed once, then checked his badge. His own last name had faded slightly. Les asked whether either came to claim someone. Nadia said she had lost nobody recently. The music box started playing behind her. She turned and saw a lion keychain. It hung from a blue bus pass. Nadia knew it before touching it. It had belonged to her brother Leo. Leo vanished after the Harbor Road crash. Everyone called him another unsolved missing child. Their mother stopped saying his name aloud. Ellis placed the keychain on velvet cloth. He said Leo's file remained partially active. Owen asked what partially active even meant. Ellis opened a ledger thick as stone. One page showed bus routes drawn like veins. Beside Leo's name, 2 boxes remained open. Remembered by one, claimed by none. Nadia whispered that she still remembered him. Ellis smiled as though expecting that answer. He said memory allowed the first door. Gleaming opened the second and cost more. Owen demanded a normal explanation immediately. Ellis pointed toward a mirror behind the desk. In it, the terminal showed daylight commuters. Leo, Nadia, and Owen still stood there. But behind mirrored Nadia walked a small boy. Leo held her hand like no years passed. Nadia touched the glass and heard him laugh. Owen warned her not to trust reflections. Ellis said reflections were cheaper than returns. He offered Nadia a temporary claim token. Read before dawn and Leo speaks. Use it after dawn and Leo stays. Nadia asked what the second option cost. Ellis replied, whatever filled the empty space. Owen pocketed the token before she could. He said deals like this destroy people. Then his radio suddenly spoke with Leo's voice. Nadia snatched it and nearly dropped it. Leo begged her not to leave again. Nadia insisted she never left him anywhere. The office lights dimmed to bruised amber. Ellis turned another page in the ledger. It showed the crashed night 13 years earlier. A heavy rain had trapped the bus underwater. Nadia and Leo were both inside. Their mother reached only one window first. Ellis said the office offered one retrieval. One child could be brought fully back. Their mother chose Nadia before dawn broke. Leo entered inventory with his keychain. Nadia backed away as Owen read further. Ledger listed a second exchange. Retrieval confirmed. Identity stabilized through borrowed attachment. Nadia asked what that sentence meant. Ellis finally looked almost sympathetic then. He said the original Nadia died too. Their mother could not leave empty-handed. The office rebuilt Nadia from memory. A borrowed life walked home in her place. Owen stared at Nadia like a stranger. Ellis said she was real enough. Real enough was not real, Nadia snapped. The shelves began rattling like distant trains. Dozens of tags fluttered without any wind. Ellis warned that one claim window remained. Laystor, Leo, and Nadia returned to inventory. They'd keep Nadia and Leo stayed shelved forever. Owen asked whether there was another route. Ellis said almost nobody asked that question. He unlocked a drawer marked unprocessed journeys. Inside were duplicate claim tickets and blank tags. One ticket carried their mother's signature twice. Listed Platform 0, arrival uncertain. Owen realized 2 children had been claimed once. Nadia understood their mother had chosen both. The office had accepted, then hidden the debt. Ellis admitted Platform 0 held unresolved exchanges. The bell rang somewhere below the floorboards. The departure board outside flipped to 0. Through the basement window, a ghost bus arrived. Inside sat Leo beside a second Nadia. And their mother held 2 matching claim tickets. Then all three looked up and saw Nadia.
Everyone in Blackridge Tower deeply feared one impossible hour. At exactly 3:13 a.m., the building suddenly changed. A silent 13th floor impossibly appeared above the 12th. Most residents slept through it and remembered absolutely nothing. Noah Mercer first heard the rumor during night deliveries. Blackridge Tower was his final downtown stop before dawn. Rain covered the deserted street like cold black glass. 12 dark floors rose above him beneath broken clouds. He laughed when the concierge mentioned a missing level. Then the elevator display flashed 13 for 1 second. The number vanished before Noah could possibly photograph it. On floor 11, a frightened woman seized his sleeve. Her name was Mira Hall from nearby apartment 1108. She urgently asked whether he heard footsteps above them. A slow dragging sound crossed the badly stained ceiling. Yet floor 12 was supposed to be the roof. Mira heard footsteps returning nightly at exactly 3:13. Sometimes they stopped directly outside her tightly locked door. Noah blamed old pipes, settling concrete, and exhausted imagination. Mira answered that a young child had disappeared upstairs. Every official police report about the child later vanished. Noah finished his delivery and hurried nervously back downstairs. In the lobby, an elderly janitor watched him silently. His faded name tag identified him as Mr. Vail. Vail calmly asked whether the elevator had shown 13. Noah immediately demanded to know how he knew that. Vail placed an old brass key in his palm. Noah reminded him the tower had only 12 floors. Vail whispered that buildings sometimes lie about themselves. Then he limped away without taking back the key. Noah should have thrown it straight into the gutter. Instead, he returned the next stormy night before 3:13. Myra waited beside the elevator, holding a trembling flashlight. The lobby clock reached 3:12, then abruptly stopped ticking. Every hallway light dimmed as if power was drowning. At 3:13, the elevator arrived completely empty and silent. A blank button now glowed strangely beneath floor 12. Noah pressed it before his courage could abandon him. Mira entered beside him and tightly gripped the railing. The elevator moved like sinking through deep black water. When it opened, another impossible corridor waited beyond it. Same wallpaper, same doors, same sickly flickering ceiling lamps. Only the apartment numbers now mysteriously began with 13. Every door stood slightly open except one doorway. Apartment 1313 waited beneath a dead yellow bulb. Noah felt suddenly certain he had stood there before. The corridor smelled of old smoke and damp dust. Every discovered clock remained permanently frozen at exactly 3:13. Family photographs showed smiling faces scratched into gray scars. In one frame, Noah's face remained completely untouched. Myra stepped farther away and asked what he remembered. Noah said nothing, because something had begun returning. The brass key opened apartment 1313 without resistance. Inside, a small living room appeared carefully preserved. A yellow child's raincoat hung beside the entrance. Noah recognized it before he recognized his fear. It had belonged to Emma, his younger sister. Emma vanished 13 years earlier inside Blackridge Tower. On the table waited a cassette and camcorder. A handwritten label instructed them to watch before dawn. Mira pressed play while Noah held the flashlight. The screen showed Blackridge Tower 13 years earlier. A younger Noah entered the elevator, smiling proudly. Little Emma followed him, carrying a red balloon. He promised to reveal a secret magical floor. The recording showed him pressing the blank elevator button. Young Noah led Emma toward apartment 1313. He unlocked the door using the same brass key. Then static swallowed the picture and Emma screamed. A soft knock suddenly came from the bedroom. Noah and Mira approached while the camcorder kept playing. The bedroom door opened slowly without anyone touching it. Emma stood inside wearing the same yellow raincoat. She looked 13, unchanged by 13 missing years. Her first question was why Noah abandoned her. He backed away as forgotten smoke filled his lungs. Emma said the floor preserved everything people buried. Mira opened a closet filled with resident files. Every vanished tenant had a folder bearing Noah's signature. He denied writing them but recognized his handwriting. Emma pointed toward a cracked mirror behind him. His reflection wore hospital clothes and a wristband. The apartment flickered like scenery made from paper. Mira whispered that she had never lived in 1108. She said Noah had met her many times. Each time he forgot before reaching the truth. The tower was not creating a supernatural floor. His damaged mind was rebuilding one terrible night. Blackridge Tower had burned and closed years earlier. The first flames began inside apartment 1313. Noah remembered dropping a candle during their exploration. The door jammed while smoke trapped Emma inside. He ran to find help but never returned. The 13th floor became a prison made from denial. Alarms screamed as old smoke flooded the corridor. Emma offered Noah a choice before the floor collapsed. He could stay with her and forget everything, or leave, awaken, and carry the truth forever. Noah seized Mira's hand and ran toward the elevator. The corridor stretched longer with every desperate step. Open doors revealed missing tenants watching them silently. Vail waited beside the elevator like a patient gatekeeper. He warned that only one passenger could leave. Mira pushed Noah inside before he could resist. She told him to wake up and remember her. Noah shouted that he would not abandon someone again. Mira smiled sadly and asked whether she was real. The elevator doors slammed between them as fire returned. Noah woke screaming beneath harsh hospital morning light. A nurse said he had suffered another nightly relapse. She claimed Blackridge Tower existed only in his records. No hospital employee had ever heard of Mira Hall. Then a janitor passed carrying Vail's familiar key. The brass key marked 13 hung from his cart. That night, Noah watched the clock reach 3:12. Dragging footsteps crossed the hospital ceiling above him. At 3:13, the distant elevator opened by itself. Mira stood inside with burned sleeves and dark eyes. She said he had remembered only half the fire. Then another button appeared marked with floor 14.
At 1:08 a.m., every unplugged television woke up. Miles Carter watched his dark apartment turn blue. The blackout outside had already killed the block. Yet his dead television hummed like buried bees. The Channel 9 appeared, through crawling black and white static. It showed his living room from the future. The broadcast, the wall clock read 2:08. Miles on screen walked in carrying a flashlight. Then someone knocked inside the future image behind him. A young woman entered and locked the door fast. She told future Miles, "Do not trust Channel 10." The screen cut to snow before he answered. Then somebody knocked on his real apartment door. Miles opened it and saw the same woman. She asked if his television had turned itself on. Miles stepped back, suddenly unable to speak clearly. The woman introduced herself as Ruby Shaw. Ruby lived 2 floors below, apartment 4B. She said 3 other televisions woke downstairs too, but only his had shown a future scene. Miles let her in and checked the time. The clock crawled toward 2:08, exactly as shown. They waited in silence, hearing the city drip. At 2:08, Miles crossed the room carefully. He reached the same mark seen on screen earlier. Then Ruby heard a child crying in hallway. The broadcast, no cry had sounded before. Miles opened the door instead of staying inside. The hallway stood empty except for wet footprints. When he returned, Ruby stared at the television. Channel 9 now showed his landlord, Mr. Baines. Mr. Baines was arguing with someone unseen downstairs. Then, the picture glitched and erased him mid-sentence. The image kept running, but Baines was gone. Miles looked at his counter and froze hard. The notices now carried another manager's signature entirely. Nobody in the building remembered Mr. Baines anymore. Only Miles and Ruby still knew his face. Ruby said the future changed when Miles deviated, and someone had paid for that change. She admitted this had happened once before childhood. Her mother vanished after a strange weather alert. Since then, she documented impossible disappearances obsessively. Miles decided they needed the signal's real source. Ruby already had a location scribbled down. An abandoned broadcast tower overlooked the river docks. The Channel 9 had been condemned after a studio fire. The pair biked there before power returned citywide. Our windows, static faces watched them pass. The tower gate, a security lamp flickered. Inside waited an old man with a toolbox. He said he was Arthur Bell, engineer. Arthur asked what hour Channel 9 had shown. When Miles answered, Arthur looked quietly exhausted. He said the station never predicted anything, but only borrowed the hour somebody else lost. Miles demanded an explanation without riddles this time. Arthur led them into the ruined newsroom upstairs. Dozens of silent monitors faced a burned anchor desk. One still played footage from 50 minutes ahead. Miles looked beside him. Ruby was still present. Arthur called the system the courtesy hour. It began as emergency broadcast research decades earlier. The engineers tried recording 1 hour into the future. They succeeded only by stealing unused human time. The change decision created a temporal deficit. The signal settled that debt by taking someone. Not always death, Arthur said, but removal. Victims lost their next hour and all attachments. Photographs blurred, records changed, and memories adjusted. Only direct viewers remained outside the correction. Ruby asked who built something so monstrous. Arthur opened a cabinet of labeled tapes. Inside sat emergency reels from one summer storm. One tape bore the name Elias Carter. Miles said that was his father's name. Arthur asked whether Elias had really abandoned them. Miles had believed that story his whole life. His mother was crying beside a glowing television. A younger Arthur spoke through the broadcast speaker. He warned her the gas leak would spread. On-screen, Elias ran back inside the apartment. Off-screen, child Miles slept in the bedroom. Arthur told her one person could be spared. If she altered the next hour, someone paid. The mother chose to save Miles and run. The room filled with smoke and shattered light. When the tape ended, Elias no longer appeared. Arthur said the city remembered an empty apartment. Miles had inherited a survival bot with erasure. Arthur nodded and blamed a thunderstrike on river relays. Then every monitor switched to Ruby simultaneously. Each screen showed Ruby at different ages smiling. One image showed her vanishing during graduation day. Another showed her dying in a roadside crash. The third showed her never being born. Arthur admitted Ruby's timeline had always looked unstable. The mother disappeared while watching the same signal. The station had patched Ruby together from leftovers. She was real, Arthur said, but borrowed. If the courtesy hour closed, Ruby might vanish. Miles refused both outcomes and searched the controls. The master room, clocks ringed a lens. The lens pointed straight at the sleeping city. Every second hand trembled like trapped insects. The final broadcast had already begun transmitting. At 3:08, Channel 9 would reach everyone, while thousands could vanish if viewers changed the hour. Arthur said only one way could stop it. Someone had to return the hour willingly taken. That meant entering the live frame and staying. The station would anchor itself to one name. Miles stepped toward the camera before Arthur finished. Ruby grabbed him and said she should go. But without this machine, she might disappear regardless. Miles saw Channel 10 glowing on a side monitor. It showed another future beyond the ruined tower. On that screen, Elias Carter stood alive. He was holding the door to a studio. Elias looked directly outward and called Miles home.
At 3:13, the hospital elevator opened by itself without warning. Burned sleeves releasing thin smoke and silence. She asked Noah whether he wanted Forbidden Floor 14. Behind her reflected an empty cabin without movement. Noah realized Mira cast no reflection there at all. Still, he entered before the doors could close behind him. The hospital corridor vanished behind sliding metal panels completely. Only Mira, Noah, and humming ceiling lights remained together. The display skipped 13 and showed a blank symbol instead. A red light pulsed ominously where 14 should have appeared. A child suddenly whispered Noah's name through the speaker. He asked whether Emma waited alone on the next floor. Mira quietly said Emma had never been the real danger. The elevator descended while its numbers climbed steadily upward. Cold air carried the smell of rain deep inside. The doors opened onto a silent, abandoned hospital ward. Family photographs hung beside valves and flickering emergency lamp. Every picture showed Noah living another complete unfamiliar life. One showed him married to an unknown smiling woman. Mira warned him never to touch the photographs there. Noah touched one before she finished speaking the warning. A memory suddenly struck him like another violent heartbeat. He clearly remembered Clara calling him by the Nalia. He remembered promising to return before their sleeping daughter woke. Then everything vanished, leaving grief without any rightful owner. Noah demanded to know whose life he had entered. Mira said 14 stored stolen memories from desperate survivors. 13 preserved guilt, while 14 preserved foreign identities. Someone had filled Noah with lives that were never his. They slowly passed doors numbered 1401 through 1408. Behind each door, another Noah repeated ordinary morning routines. One wrote medical notes beneath a bright medical lamp. Every version slowly looked up as the real Noah passed. Together they whispered he had already returned too early. Noah ran, but the corridor folded backward around him. Mr. Vale waited silently beside a nurse's station nearby. Noah personally accused him of building the impossible floor. Vale said Noah designed them before deliberately forgetting everything. Mira dragged Noah away before another locked door opened. They entered a supply room filled with damaged cassettes. Each tape carried a date from the Black Ridge fire. A woman's recording calmly experimental memory treatment procedure. Desperate patients surrendered unbearable memories to one volunteer mind. The volunteer carried them temporarily, then eventually forgot them. On the tape, he introduced himself as Dr. Noah Mercer. His recorded voice sounded older and terrifyingly familiar somehow. Grainy footage showed Noah wearing a white doctor's coat. Mira stood beside him, alive and completely unburned there. She called him Dr. Mercer and handed over sealed file. Emma appeared next, but not as a young child. She was an adult nurse wearing bright yellow rainwear. Noah's childhood memories immediately began violently rearranging themselves. His missing sister emerged from many overlapping patient stories. Her face belonged to 14 different Black Ridge children. Her yellow coat came from an old fire photograph. Noah had never actually grown up beside Emma. Mira admitted helping create the secret memory transfer experiment. She believed shared trauma could emotionally protect collapsing survivors, but Noah absorbed memories faster than safe removal. 14 patients gradually disappeared inside his crowded mind. Each impossible floor imprisoned one separate borrowed identity. Floor 13 held young children lost during the fire. Floor 14 held adults who survived and remembered everything. Noah asked exactly which memory had created. She refused and slowly opened the final cabinet. Inside, rustic wristband marked patient 14. Its photograph Mira sharing Vail's unmistakable cold eye. Vail entered and called her Mara Mata. Mara Vail was his daughter and the first volunteer. She died suddenly during the transfer 13 years earlier. The Mira present Mara's surviving digital copy. She had secretly guided Noah there to escape story. Noah realized her careful kindness concealed an escape plan. Mira said copies still felt fear and love. She begged him not to call her mere machinery. Alarms sounded as copied Noahs left their room. Identical figures crowded the corridor behind. Each demanded control of the hospitalized body. Vail locked the entire hallway using one key. He said only the original identity could leave. Nobody remembered which identity entered the experiment first. Mira claimed Noah Mercer was merely a mask. The man beneath had another hidden name and purpose. She led Noah toward room 1414 at the end. It opened into a chamber of mirrored bed. 14 sleeping patients appeared inside every reflection. Wore Noah's exact face. Tubes linked its head to an elevator-shaped machine. Mira said the body never awakened afterward. Everything happened inside its collapsing artificial memory network. Even the hospital outside might be constructed. Noah touched the sleeping body's cold hand. Every borrowed memory awakened inside him together. He saw 14 lives losses end. One memory belonged secretly to Miss. Vail started Blackridge Fire Hide illegal experiments. He trapped survivors and used Noah's floor-protected witnesses buried inside Noah. Vail lunged as Mira pulled the emergency lever. The chamber shook and reflections began disappearing. Noah could save himself or release everyone. Saving himself erased Mira and the witnesses. Releasing them could destroy their only usable body. Noah chose them and forced the lever downward. Every floor 14 door burst open with light. Copied residents dissolved into streams of memory. They rushed through Noah into the sleeping body. Vail screamed as his confession filled the chamber. Darkness swallowed everything before Noah ever saw the results. He awoke alone inside a normal elevator. The doors opened on a sunlit hospital lobby. No staff recognized Noah or Blackridge Tower. Outside, no building matched his remembered skyline. His pocket held 14 keys and one photograph. It showed Noah, Mira, Emma, and Vail. Behind them stood an elevator button marked 15. In the picture, Emma's eyes turned toward Noah. A voice whispered that the original remained asleep. The lobby elevator opened onto ascending concrete stairs below. Below, someone with Noah's face called him Dr. Mercer.
The man from a country that doesn't exist. The mystery of Tord. In 1954, a mysterious passport allegedly surfaced at Tokyo's Haneda Airport, issued by a nation that, according to every map, did not exist. The story begins as an international flight descends through a wall of thick fog, landing silently at Tokyo's Haneda Airport, unaware that one passenger is about to reveal an impossible secret. Among the passengers was a solitary man carrying a worn leather briefcase and documents issued by a nation so unfamiliar, its very name stunned the immigration officers. Across the passport cover was the name of a nation that had never appeared on any official list in the world. The country was called Torrid, a name unknown to the world, and the beginning of a mystery no one has ever been able to explain. Map after map was examined, but nowhere on Earth could the name Torrid be found, as though the country had never existed at all. The location he described matched the land now known as Andorra, yet the man insisted it was, and had always been, the nation of Torrid. The man firmly insisted that Torrid had existed for more than 1,000 years, speaking as though he had somehow crossed over into our world from a mysterious parallel reality. Even more disturbing, the passport contained multiple official stamps, evidence that it had somehow been accepted at other borders before. Inside the briefcase were foreign currencies, airline tickets, and documents from several different countries, each one deepening the impossible mystery. Airport security was alerted immediately when officials failed to verify a single one of his documents. For hours, officials searched for answers, but the origin of the mysterious passport remained completely unexplained. A mystery remained, one impossible question still waiting to be answered. Could this passport have come from another version of our world, one existing beyond the boundaries of our reality? The story continues at a hotel near the airport, where the mysterious traveler is placed under guard, until something impossible happens before sunrise. His passport and luggage remained inside the locked room all night, yet by morning the man had vanished without a trace. Where could he have gone? The door was still locked, the window had no balcony, and the room contained no second exit, making his disappearance seem utterly impossible. No sound was heard, and not a single door opened throughout the night, as if the man had simply vanished from reality itself. The man, his mysterious passport, and every piece of luggage were gone. But how could everything vanish from a sealed room without leaving a single trace? Over the years, the story became one of the world's most famous alleged cases of parallel realities, yet its truth remains hidden in mystery. Some believe the passport crossed through a hidden point where two realities briefly collided, allowing something from another world to enter ours. A single change in the distant past could split history into two entirely different realities, each believing it is the only one. But when investigators examined the historical records, the mystery began to take on a very different and far more unsettling shape. An old report called the country Torrid, with its capital in Tamanrasset, not Torrid near Andorra, revealing that the legend may have been distorted over time. With each retelling, the country's name, its location, the date, and even the ending of the case were gradually rewritten, until fact and legend became impossible to separate. Perhaps the man never came from a parallel world, yet the non-existent nation he claimed as his homeland became a legend that has endured for decades. Across the world, hundreds of places have mysteriously vanished, leaving behind no answers, only questions that remain unsolved to this day. Hidden all around us are mysteries still waiting to be discovered. Secrets no one has ever fully explained. One of them is known as File Number 47. According to the records, this place was once home to more than 10,000 people, a thriving community filled with daily life and activity. This was once a thriving city, alive with energy from dawn to dusk. Its streets were filled with people going about their daily lives. Markets buzzed with activity, and the laughter of children echoed through every neighborhood. It seemed like a place full of hope, life, and a promising future. But then, in a single night, Everything changed. It happened so suddenly that no one saw it coming. Before anyone could understand what was happening, an entire way of life had vanished, leaving behind only silence and unanswered questions. The next morning, there was no one left. Not a single sign of life remained. The streets stood silent. The homes were abandoned, and it was as if the entire city had simply vanished overnight. There were no signs of war, no evidence of violence, no indication that anyone had tried to flee. It was as if every person had simply disappeared. Without a trace, everything was left exactly as it had been. Nothing appeared disturbed. There were no signs of recent activity, no movement, no voices, as if time itself had suddenly stopped, freezing the entire city in a single moment. Then something strange began to unfold. According to the final pages of the records, an unknown presence had appeared without warning. The very last entry contained only a single sentence, as if whoever wrote it never had the chance to finish. "They're coming." Those were the final words ever recorded. No names were mentioned. No explanation was given. To this day, no one knows who they were or what was truly coming that night. To this day, no one knows who or what they were. No evidence was ever found. No explanation was ever confirmed. Their identity remains one of history's most chilling and enduring mysteries. Some believe it was a natural disaster, a sudden catastrophe that struck without warning, forcing everyone to disappear in a matter of hours. Others believe it was something far beyond human understanding, an unexplained phenomenon, something humanity has never discovered, never identified, and still cannot explain to this day. Case file number 47. Even today, it remains unsolved, a mystery that continues to defy every explanation. Its secrets may never be revealed. Fade to black.